This is the first time that I've done a live stream that is connected with YouTube. It has been a bit of a learning curve for me. So yeah, if I cut out or anything, just know that, yeah, excuse me on behalf of any of that. Thomas, I think you've done an introduction of me. I will briefly explain who I am. So my name's Gustav. I have a foreign exchange company in London. I've been in the industry for over 15 years. I've looked to pivot into artificial intelligence because it's something that I believe can scale and optimize performance in the business place and also in personal life. I've been investing time into it, developing it now for about 2 months, and I've seen some remarkable results. As you've seen in the group that we have online, I've shared some perspective of my experience with it, and I just want to go through a lot of what I've learned and answer any questions on it. But I've got a presentation to go through, and I have just thrown it together. Could I get some insight as to the experience with regards to what level of experience people have in this webinar on AI, where everyone at the moment is at?
Yeah, a small introduction by most of the members of this meeting. We have beginners and we have people that are a little bit more advanced. Most people use ChatGPT, Gemini. Some have been experimenting with OpenClaw. If you set it up right, if you have the right framework, then you can scale from there.
Great stuff. I'll just begin then with the slideshow and then we can go through questions at the end. I'll just screen share that right now. So this is the front line. Use AI now or fall behind. Obviously quite a impacting statement, but I completely believe it to be true. But the only way to not fall behind is not to use it at all. If you can actually see the perspective of this chart here, it shows how early we are in the AI journey. 84% of people on the planet are literally just using no form of artificial intelligence, and the small percentage below that, 16%, are using a free chatbot. So anyone that's actually looking to use OpenClaw systems, that's less than 0.04% of the population, which really just goes to show how early we are when it comes to using artificial intelligence. There are a lot of people that have the perception that when something new comes out, they think, oh, okay, it's already probably being used. This sort of perspective, which actually absolutely makes no sense whatsoever. AI, although it's all around us, is used in the most basic way. People are only using free accounts. They're paying either $20 a month or even a free Claude service using the cheapest model. And they're literally copying, pasting commands in just to make their jobs easier or just to effectively be quite lazy. So we really are extremely early in this journey, and there are a ton of companies that are using it. I think if anything, the companies are capitalizing on it more. I just had a conversation with a friend of mine actually who's launching a very big business, and he's got tons of funding, and his business now is completely pivoted into AI tools, and it's helping him grow exponentially. And obviously there's a lot of YouTubers online who are speaking how they're utilizing AI and how it's optimizing their business, but everyone's got their cards very close to their chest. And there's a reason for that. People don't really want to share exactly how they're making money because it's so easy to copy. But actually, having used it now for 2 months, it's not as easy as that. You've got weeks of debugging and you've got other things that you have to address in order to really utilize the technology. And I'm actually very happy that it's not easy to be copied and not easy to use, because it means that when you build something that it has sustainability and actually it's not accessible for everyone. So if you put your brain to use it, you're going to be better than 0.04% of the population. That's absolutely crazy. And I think right now it almost feels like I'm making a video about the early stages of Bitcoin, when there's just a few people thinking about the idea. And how many people I've spoken with, including my own family, are telling me, how does it actually make you money? It's great, but maybe for you and not for me, and all these kind of rebuttals. And I think they're not really getting the point. And that's another reason why I'm making these videos, is because hopefully through this slideshow, I'm going to demonstrate to you why there's a logical reason why everyone should be using AI. But anyway, just this perspective on this show, this should show you that minute number of people now currently using artificial intelligence in the way that we're planning to use it, with OpenClaw systems and multi-layered chatbots interacting with each other. Get in the trenches and start building. It's the only way to actually get ahead of the curve, and that curve is steepening ever so quickly. Let me go to the next slide here. Yeah, so I thought about the logical statement here, and I'm trying to give people perspective as to why AI is useful for everyone. And obviously the universal equation is time equals money. Everyone knows that equation. And this is true for AI because AI can sit on either end of this equation. AI can improve your income or it can reduce the time that you spend in creating more money. So on either end of that equation, it will be able to benefit you. So it compresses time. So it can reduce the time that you spend on any task in your life. And the more time in your day that you are able to free up as a result of artificial intelligence, freeing up your time, indirectly equates to more time you can spend in making money. And then on the other end of the spectrum, you can amplify the output. So you can do the same level of work, but get 10 times the results. And so that's an obvious equation, how you can actually see that it's easy for anyone to amplify or multiply their results in life. Now, it's a similar sort of question. If you had to raise $100 in an hour, or if you had to raise $100 in a week, it's a lot easier to raise those $100 in a week because you have more time. So you can logically conclude that if AI is saving you time, it is indirectly making you money. And that is the point here. So the platform that I developed and I built, now I'm not a coder. I have not got any formal education in coding, but I have vibe prompted, I have educated myself. I have a degree in mathematics for A level, but that was not really necessary. Really, it's just a framework of understanding and logic. And so I have built something, which I'll go through later. And again, I'm not too bothered about keeping my cards close to my chest because it's very hard to copy these systems, and they're also applicable to every industry. Every industry is at threat right now from AI because it's so easy to pick up things and perform and do well. You can make advertisements so quickly. Anyway, I'm detracting from the point, but what I was saying is that the system I have already built for my own company has saved me substantial time. And not only has it saved me time, but it's actually given me better results than the own research that I do myself. So it's amplifying output and it's reducing time. Now that's phenomenal for me. When I shared actually a video to Thomas when I had the breakthrough and I debugged the system for 2 weeks and then it worked flawlessly. And I didn't share that because I looked quite rough because I'd working for 2 weeks. But the point, I was really over the moon because all of this was theoretical in my mind. You've got all these YouTubers, as I say, going around saying, I've maximized this and I've built this with artificial intelligence, but the reality is no one's really showing any information on it. And I'm happy to show mine, and I'm happy to go through that process with what I'm building because I think people need to see what this thing is doing. It's very interesting to see something working that somebody's built who's not got a background in coding, right? That's the formula then. I hope that makes some sense to you. And again, we can touch on this later, but this theoretically means that anyone from any walk of life, whether you're employed by a company, whether you work for something completely unrelated, whether you work for yourself, if you're not employed, if you want to do a side hustle, all of these things are relevant for AI because if you are freeing up more time, you have more time to spend on things that are either going to create you money or you are making more money, which frees up more time. So it is helping people in multiple ways. These are obviously what I was just discussing here, business owners, side hustle, extra revenue. If you're an employee, a lot of people that I actually spoke with are working for companies in London and they said, yeah, I don't see the point in using artificial intelligence because I work for a company. That's a rebuttal I've got a lot of. But let's say hypothetically you're a recruiter and you're paid in commission. And let's say you get 20 people work in a month. What's to say that AI can't allow you to acquire 50 people for work in that job? That could maximize your performance, maximize your revenue. What's to say that actually you hit the same amount of people that you recruit for your targets, your KPIs, but you achieve them 5 times quicker? And let's say you achieve them 5 times quicker and you're able to get that extra time that you've created as a result of AI optimizing and you reinvest that into a side hustle or into your family or your kids. So for me, I find it quite mind-boggling that people can't see the scaling effect of AI because it's just helping in every possible way. And it's not helping if you're just copying, pasting, regurgitating stuff and not actually learning. But if it's truly giving you better results, improving output and saving time, then it's incredibly valuable. And I think companies and anyone in my circle that is very successful is absolutely capitalizing on this. It seems to be the narrow-minded individuals that are really stepping away, aren't really susceptible to this technology. And I guess that's just the nature of the universe, isn't it? A lot of people will find a way or they won't. And it's just the nature of things. But I'm very glad to have you guys in the Zoom because obviously you're interested and I'm sure you're going to build great things with it. This was me. I've already gone through this. I've got a foreign exchange company in London. I've been using OpenClaw to build systems for the last 2 months. Sharing the journey, I'm just going to have lives twice a week on the YouTube channel. I'm going to speak to any individual that really just wants to have a chat about what they're doing and how I can perhaps give them a bit of help, perspective. And then for anyone that wants a real consultation and a real plan of how they can really implement systems, I've set up a website and I did heavily rely on the AI to build that website, and I built that website in a day. And I would never have been able to build a website in a day. If you look at my company's website, that took a lot of money and time and effort in building that I paid an outsourcing company to build. But with AI, I've built that website within a day. So you can click on that link and you can see my website. And yeah, it's not the best website in the world, but I think it's totally acceptable. It's got payment links to Stripe. It's got the YouTube link all baked into the website and it's totally functional. And that's, again, an example of how you can literally build something so rapidly, even if you have absolutely no experience in it, okay? But yeah, we'll move on to the next slide. So I'm planning on having 10 agents, 7 for my business and 3 personal. So I'm going to go over to those systems now. For the business agents that I plan to roll out, I've got the lead sourcing agent, the sales agent, the CRM manager, the client relationship, marketing intelligence, compliance, and financial planning. Currently, we've got the first 3 bot systems that are currently operational, which are the lead sourcing, sales, and CRM. Sales is on a bit of a training curve right now. I'm still teaching it. It's a complex thing trying to tell a system the right way to approach prospects and leads in order to get interest. So that's a whole level of framework with psychological NLP, neural linguistic programming, and things like that I need to program into the bot. It's a big build, but once you teach it once, you've got something that's probably better than 99% of the junior sales staff that I have hired in my life. So the sales bot, CRM manager, that is simply something that is going to reduce the time that I spend processing information. Now, one of the massive bottlenecks that I had running my business was every time I had an influx of a large amount of clients, it was very difficult to manage them all at the same time. And with running a brokerage, you have to process a lot of data. You have to log a lot of information. There's a lot of KYC and anti-money laundering and all information processing that is necessary. And that took up so much time that I hit a massive bottleneck where I couldn't perform because of simply having too much data to process on the day-to-day basis. So the CRM manager, it does wonderful things. Effectively, the manager is managing every single prospect that I am engaging with on a minute-to-minute basis. It is not compiling things over the week. When anything gets updated in real time, it logs it on the system and it does that automatically. So let me give you a traditional workflow. I speak to a client, I'm on the phone, I put the phone down, I've got a 60-minute conversation full of context and information about that client. And now I have to regurgitate that information back in my mind. I have to upload that note onto the CRM system so I know where I'm at with that client. I then have to put tasks in my diary. I have to be aware of information that is privy to the client that is very useful for future engagement, such as the exchange rate, because I'm in FX, where the rates are going and what's going on with the market. And that is a lot of information for me to have to decompile after a long conversation. And so what would have just taken 1 hour of client intimacy and building rapport turns out to be actually around an hour and a half, maybe even longer, depending on the complexity of the conversation with the client and how much information I have to process. Now, with the sales CRM manager, which I'm building, and it's actually performing very well too, but it's still, again, we're only on version 1, I can now get off the phone and it will automatically download the whole conversation using a plugin called Whisper, and it will outline everything that is necessary. It will summarize the conversation, dig up the key points, and it will also have a link to the audio file, which I can just click onto Salesforce or HubSpot, and it can also do all of that automatically and follow up with an email and say, look, we're just sending an email based on the conversation. And it's doing all of that absolutely immediately. So I get off the phone, I can make myself a coffee, I can come back to my desk, and everything is there ready to go. And that is absolutely mind-blowing. And when I see that work, it blows my mind because I realize the scaling effect of that. That means that if I'm spending a day of following up with important clients, I no longer have that lag where I get off the phone, I'm pumped, I've had a great conversation, and I now have to do the administration, and I have to now do this, and I have to get the email ready and do the. All of that is done like that. I make the coffee, I come back, it's ready, and it's all done. And the CRM manager is saying, Gustav, you had a great discussion with this client. I've just put this in your diary. I've just sent an email based on this information. And yeah, the way that it works with AI, if you're worried about sending clients the wrong information or sending things that might not have been polished properly, it's very easy. You just make it so that the AI agent is not able to send outbound messages or document irreversible logic without authorization. And that's how you train the models. You make sure that they are not able to go out there in the world and do things without your authorization. You train them, and I anticipate I'll train my artificial intelligence systems for probably the next 6 to 12 months because I don't want them to do things like this. But what they will do, even when they request approvals from me, they still will be far more beneficial than manually typing up the notes and doing things in a way that is so antiquated than what we currently have with the AI systems. Client relationships, that's another thing where there have been it's such an issue when you have so many clients to deal with and every individual client has a unique case where there might be a market where they might need to attack, and there might be information within that market that could be so useful to that client. How can you as an individual and a team of individuals, a team of market specialists, you can be in a big company and it can still be something that completely slips by. But with these AI systems, you can have a client relationship manager that is intimate with the way that your business processes clients, where the USPs are, what your ideal client profile is, and it can use that to do the duties that you can't autonomously do simply because of a bottleneck of not being able to be omnipresent. Now, if I had 100 versions of myself, yeah, I would have a multi-billion-dollar business. But that's not the case. It's so easy for a client to say, we're really looking for this exchange rate. We've just opened up a factory in this part of the world. And that's one of hundreds of clients that I'm dealing with. And it's very hard to stay on top of that. But AI solves this problem completely. And that is invaluable information to the client. So we're giving value to the clients here through indirect AI systems operating within my company. And that's phenomenal. And I'll show you some of the information that it digs out in its research. It's absolutely phenomenal what it digs up, like stuff that it would take me a long time to figure out and find, it can pull up. But that's just one aspect. Market intelligence, that's to do specific with companies. The market intelligence agent that I'll build is specifically to do with companies and what their issues are and what their problems are. And it's literally a consultative technology that helps them move forward in the pains that they have. And don't forget, it's constantly learning. I can speak with clients about their pains, and I know that they've got competitors. And I know that the AI system will use that logic to propose systems and solutions to competitors and to other people in the industry. It all can work together, but it's all about structuring the architecture of these systems so they work and they all complement each other. And that's really how a small business with, say, 10 employees can probably counter a company with thousands if you're using the right AI framework. And I completely believe that to be true. Compliance, everyone I'm sure is aware of compliance. This is all still data management and assessing risk to make sure that there aren't any shady characters that sign up to my company, and also to make sure that everything is done by the book. AI systems aren't there to replace compliance and AML, but they're there to support it and to make it quicker and more optimized. And so that is another system that I plan on putting in place. And then financial planning. The systems can really build such a good visualization of trajectory of growth, and they can really identify. Now, one of the things I did when I utilized these AI systems is I actually, again, you might not want to do this because you might think there's a lot of information shared there. You might not want Claude or OpenAI to have this information, but I uploaded my company business plan. I uploaded my business performance. I uploaded 13,000 notes I made on clients over the last 10 years. And I did this because I wanted AI to have a good grasp of what the context is of my business and what we go through. And after sending all that information, it gave me such a good estimate of the projections of what we could make if I can decrease the bottlenecks of the business and if I can increase optimization. And so it's really exciting. And it's been hard for me to sleep because I know that the logic adds up. If I implement these systems, the amount of revenue I've made as a business, I can 10x that. And that is absolutely astounding. And it's exciting to not have to deal with the impotence of a lot of employees. And it's a problem I've had, hiring the right staff. I think I've mentioned this. It's very hard to hire people that are on the ball and doing their job properly in life. And I just find that a very big problem. AI has massive teething problems. It has bugs in the system. But when you refine that system and you get it perfect, it is better than a whole team of juniors or even, admittedly, even some seniors, I would argue. Personal agents, I will have a personal assistant. I've had assistants in the past, but I think, again, AI is such a superpower. If the AI system has access to all my calendars and it has access to everything I'm doing and also my lifestyle choices, and it's got integrations with all these platforms of mine, I think it will do a better job than any human assistant. I just don't think that's comparable. I plan to make one, but it is on the back burner because I'm doing the business agents first, starting with the revenue engine, which is free agents, as I said, lead generation, CRM management, and the sales agent. Personal assistant will be one of the later things that I'm getting into. The health services is another thing. The AI health system is something that I want to build in another project, not part of my company. Thomas knows I'm very into health. I would quote myself as a biohacker. I take 30 pills a day to optimize my health and to improve my cognitive function and also to age slower than most. But the AI system is something that I think is completely necessary due to the fact that AI is incredibly personalized. And I think health is the exact same. In health nowadays, it's all a blanket solution. If you have a problem, you're given a blanket solution. And with the AI integration of your health, you can upload your blood work, you can check your DNA markers to see what you're susceptible according to your genetic information. You can feed it through your history of activity through your Apple Watch. You can feed it how much water you're drinking every day through the Hydrate app and all these other things. You can tell it what medication you're taking, and then you can add all the gold standard research into it, and then you can ask it or consult it for a problem. And that bespoke AI longevity manager would be far more efficient, in my opinion, at giving health advice than any doctor. It has so much scope and data that I don't believe it is comparable for a GP, a general practitioner, or anyone else to come along and say, here, take this 4 times a day, that's going to solve your problem. From a young age, I had issues with mundane things that were, eczema was one of an issue that I had as a kid. And it took a doctor over 12 months to solve that issue with the right cream. And before that point, I had a rash on my head and my arms for nearly a year as a kid because the doctor just didn't know how to resolve that issue. I actually found the solution myself, but I think that is exactly how a bespoke AI health and longevity manager would really excel in this, because really having the intimacy with all the data points, it can really conclude to better analysis. And I'm not trying to discredit general practitioners or other doctors. What I'm trying to say is that the more data points we have, the better the assessment and the more accurate we can make recommendations for health and longevity. Moving over to personal finance, this is quite self-explanatory. We've already had a level of integration of AI onto banks, Revolut, things like this that try to give you summaries of budgets and go over and go under and stuff like this. I think that's great, but again, having your own decentralized AI personal finance manager is the way to go. Again, it's another way in which you will be able to optimize because the data points are there. It's all about the data. The more data there is, the more it can make an assessment and the more tailored that is for you. Let's go to the next slide. So the framework. This is the framework for OpenClaw systems. OpenClaw is an open source AI agent framework. So all it really is a bunch of files on a computer, MD files, and they're connected in a certain way. So it actually allows the LLM, the language model, to function in a far more optimal way. So before that, what we had was chatbots. You speak to that chatbot and it will remember certain things. Let's just say when we all jumped onto ChatGPT when it first launched, it would build up certain memories based on whether or not it thought that memory was important, and it would log that information, and it might remember certain things. It will forget certain things if it's been too long, or if you've opened up a new chat window. And that was the extent that we had it, right? So it really didn't have much of a context of the grand scheme of what you were speaking to it about. And therefore, it had a limitation. It's almost like 50 First Dates with Jim Carrey, where every single day it goes back to asking you questions that you already discussed. And so there was a massive limitation there. With OpenClaw, the difference is it has a way of organizing itself so it can learn, it can evolve, it can use different language models, so it can optimize on speed and efficiency. It can create memories that are specific to certain projects and aspirations and goals. But in the technical aspect, it runs locally on a computer. So I've got OpenClaw on these MacBooks here. They're just to the left of me. I've got 3 MacBooks right now running it, and the reason why they're running locally is because OpenClaw has access to the terminal. So that means the actual compute of the computer that you're running it on. So you do not want to use it currently on anything that has sensitive information, such as passwords, because theoretically it can use that information if it wants to. So you need to segregate that. It's model agnostic. As I said, you can put any language model on that. You can put a model that runs locally. That means using the processing power of that MacBook in order to generate the language model's compute power. Or you can run it using an API or a plugin, which is what I'm currently doing using ChatGPT on the £200 a month plan. Skill system, this is how you upgrade it. I don't know if you guys have seen The Matrix when Neo is learning how to fight and the guy in the back just says, here, let's teach him Kung Fu. And he's, I know Kung Fu, right? It's literally like that. If you want your OpenClaw to learn something, you give it the repository of the information, the GitHub or the skill, or you even ask it to build the skill and it starts learning things. And it's literally as simple as that in terms of getting the skill on it. But then you have to refine it because, as I say, everyone is different with their bespoke solutions. So you have to smoke test it. You have to go through the system and make sure that it's actually working in the way that you plan to use it. But it is literally like uploading memories and skills and attributes. Multi-channel, that's the section where the AI system, the OpenClaw system, can communicate with you in a number of ways. You can Telegram it, you can WhatsApp it, you can speak to it on a number of volumes, so it isn't just tied to your computer. You don't have to go back to your laptop every day. But not only that, it also means that you can have agents discussing each other projects in a Discord group. You can have one agent speak to another agent, let's say a manager agent, and it has another agent underneath it. It can delegate duties, it can finish the duty, go back to the manager agent, and then that agent will report back to you and say, we've done this. So it really is almost theorizing an actual structure of a employee base and a company, which is really exciting, which obviously normal LLMs could not do. But these are the differences in terms of LLMs, standard LLMs, and the agent on the OpenClaw system. These are the attributes you need to be successful in this for all listeners. The physical attributes are you need a dedicated machine, you need an LLM, and you need a subscription. You could go on the free plan, but I really don't advise that. Just a little note out there, LLM systems are subsidized. That means that OpenAI and Anthropic, they make a lot less money than they're selling you these subscriptions for because they're subsidized, right? So you actually may pay $200 a month for one plan. The actual value you're getting out of that system in terms of what it costs them to give you the AI power is about $1,000 to $2,000. So you're getting 10 times the value, which is absolutely crazy. It's like a fire sale. And the reason for this is because they've invested so much money into these systems because they're betting on the future. They're betting on the economy relying on these technologies. And so they're happy to make losses now on the plans because they know that money will come back once everyone realizes that they can't live without the AI systems. And I know it sounds a bit dystopian when I say it like that, but it's factual. And this is why you need to capitalize on these systems, because if you do not capitalize on these systems, you will be left behind in all honesty. And I would love to go back to this video in 10 years and say, I hate to say I told you, but I've been right about a lot of things that I've spoken about in the past. And I think this is one of them. So you really need to think about using these systems. Messaging channel, you need to a way for the bots to communicate to each other. And then you need to learn how to use the terminal. Now, it's not so dangerous using the terminal on a system that isn't your main system. If you're using the terminal, which is basically where all the code is on a computer, if you're using that on a system that you're using on a day-to-day basis, it is a little bit dangerous because if you can press the wrong key, you can wipe everything on the system, you can damage the computer. you should be fine and comfortable using it on a Mac Mini or another computer, because the worst you can do is you can damage that computer. So if you're truly worried about damaging that computer, get an old computer. You can put a language model on an old Dell computer, a laptop. It doesn't matter what it is, because we're not running the power of the LLM on the local system. It's installed locally, but the power of the brain is actually on a subscription that is in servers with Anthropic or with OpenAI. So you can start off using an old laptop or an old computer. That's absolutely fine, no problem whatsoever. I just decided to buy Macs because I really wanted to code quickly on them, and I would hate it if I saw that loading. It would just piss me off. So going on to mental attributes. So you need critical thinking. AI, as I said, is not just about pressing a prompt and it does everything for you. AI is wrong so often. There's so many times I challenge Claude. Claude Opus 4.3 is the best model out there, but there's so many times that I have to say to it, you're completely wrong here, and you've jumped ahead and you've assumed this, and you have to go back and you have to test. And then if you do this, does that not mean this? And it's, oh, Jesus, yeah, you're right. Okay. So just be very well aware that you have to have your brain still. This is not you sitting watching the Kim Kardashian show in autopilot, right? You have to be actively scanning through what it's saying. And if you do not understand what it says, take a step back and say to Claude or say to OpenAI, what does this mean? I don't understand it. Explain this to me. Because if you don't understand what's going on when you're building these systems, how the hell are you going to debug them?
Is it possible to answer a few questions in between?
Absolutely. We can do that right away if you want.
Okay, that's epic. First question was from Hadi about the difference between OpenClaw and Claude from Anthropic.
Yeah, okay. So the difference is simply they are both LLMs, they're both language models. And people have argued that Opus 4.6 is one of the most powerful at the moment. If you look online, the community is really geared towards that one being the more successful one in terms of its performance and what it can produce for you. If you really want to figure out the difference, my best advice for you is to actually just use them. Sign up to a free account for both of the systems and speak to them both in the same way and test them yourself. I don't know what it is that you're doing. Everyone has a different use case, but you might want to try and give it the same sort of problems and then determine the outputs differently. Because truth be told, OpenAI is better at some things and Claude's better at others. There's been a big move in terms of users on OpenAI over to Claude. And that simply was due to the political situation where the US Department of War was threatening Anthropic to allow them to use Anthropic's AI systems for their automatic military systems. Anthropic declined the pressure, whereas OpenAI actually just jumped on board and took up a contract with them. That left a very bitter taste in a lot of people's mouths, and so we've had a lot of people drop away from OpenAI onto Anthropic's Claude. My personal experience is I do believe that Opus 4.6 is the best LLM that we currently have. But when it comes to your OpenClaw system, it's against the terms of service to use Anthropic's Opus 4.6 on your OpenClaw system. So if they do catch you, they will ban your account. And that has been a process that's been happening right now. I'm currently using OpenAI for my systems, for my OpenClaw system. I'm using OpenAI's ChatGPT 5.4 Thinking, which is literally a model that they just brought out. I don't know if it's propaganda in terms of the accreditation that has now come out about ChatGPT 5.4. There are a lot of people saying that it's fantastic. It's as good as Opus 4.6. I'm testing ChatGPT 5.4 Thinking. And what I will do is I will start to test the API with Claude Opus 4.6, and I will compare the performance, and that will be part of my optimization process once my bots are built with the foundation.
We got a question about, from a technical perspective, do you have each department as a separate OpenClaw system on different computers?
Yes, I see that, Anthony. Okay, yeah, I do have this, yeah. And the reason for this is because I'm not trying to make my work harder, creating systems again and again. Obviously, that would be completely ludicrous. The reason why I do that is because you have to realize that there is a technical limitation within these OpenClaw systems. If they have too much context, they start to do the wrong things. And so it's very similar to when you look at it, and I've always said this to a lot of people, you have to look at these systems like they're real humans. If you gave one individual too many responsibilities, they would start to do a bad job. They would start to convolute their jobs. Things would get messy. And the systems, the OpenClaw systems, are just like this. If you have the money and if you have the patience to set up these systems and segregate, that is the best way to do it. However, that being said, it's sometimes more advantageous to combine duties when they're related, when the system needs to have context of two tasks that are simultaneously being performed. But yeah, my advice to you is split up the task. I've given you the 10 bot framework that I plan to do. And if I look back at the first bot that I'm building, the lead generation bot, that is seven bots with seven under one of those bots. So it's seven and then seven underneath one of those, which I call scouts. But you have to learn, and you'll only learn by using these systems, but you have to learn the reasons behind why it's good to sometimes compile the system and tasks into one, and sometimes it's better to separate it and segregate it. And the way that they're all communicating is, for me, on Slack. They can communicate to each other when they're doing tasks. One bot will hand off to another bot, will hand off to another bot, and they'll respond to me. So there's no problem in them communicating, but you have to understand. Let me try and give you a metaphor for this. If I send out a foot soldier in the war to run the front lines with his gun, is it relevant that he knows about specifics to the weather in another region where they're also deploying soldiers? It's not relevant to him. So actually what that does, it occupies space in the mind of that agent, which is not necessary. And that burns tokens, that creates overload in the context window, and it just gives you the worst output. So what the best way to look at it is, you want to separate it unless they're really required to be relevant within the same system.
How long did it take to build those 7 employees?
Okay, the way that I did it, I don't want to go massively into this because I could speak here for hours. But the way that I did it is I use Claude as a project manager. So I'm using Claude because they've rolled out this system now that counters OpenClaw's framework, where you can upload project files, you can give it context. I've used Claude and I've used Notion to make a massive roadmap and a plan to help build these systems. And I'll tell you what I do every day. I log into Claude and I say, "Good morning, Claude. What do we have to work on today?" And it knows my whole roadmap. Every single day, it compiles all the work and we add that to the project. And so I know exactly what I'm doing every day. And it's actually phenomenal. It's just the best way to get the best results, in my opinion. So I've been building these agents on a step-by-step basis. I'm consulting Claude in terms of the project and what we have to do. I'm consulting it on the bugs and the debugging. I'm also giving my opinions and I'm counteracting its opinions, and I'm using my own critical thinking. I'm giving it information that I think is relevant to the project and how things are going. And that's basically the framework that I'm using to build these systems. And also, I'll give an example. There might be a bug on, let's say, the lead generation bot, and I can screenshot or I can copy the terminal. So the terminal is where all the thinking goes on the computer. I can see that there's a problem. I can copy all the context in the terminal. So I'm copying the brain working, and I paste it over to Anthropic's Claude as my project manager. And I say, "There's a problem here, and notice that we've got an error here on this and this. What do you think's happening?" And Claude will say, "Oh, this looks like this. This might be this." And again, don't forget, it can make mistakes, but it's so good at identifying and getting the ball rolling in terms of trying to isolate and figure out problems. And that's the way that I've built so much and so well with AI, is I'm using AI to actually fix its own problems, except I'm the intermediary, right? There is actually a way in which I could build one orchestrator AI system and I can get it to build all my bots out. Now, the only problem with that is I just don't think it is smart enough with the right context to start building and debugging everything all at once. So I am actively in the middle. I have my OpenClaw agents that are very smart. I have Opus, Claude, and I have me in the middle. And I'm just going in between both of them like this. And I'm saying, "This is doing this. Let's do that with that. There's a problem here. What do you think about this? No, I think this." And together with our minds, we're getting to the solution of all of it. And it's fantastic. My projections to build this bot was far longer. I'm building it twice as fast. Every day I'm running out of credits on the £200 a month plans, right? Because I'm just getting so much done. But that's the way you do it. Don't look at Claude as an artificial intelligence system. Look at it as a person. Ask it real human questions, but try not to ramble. Try to ask it some stuff with precision and speak to it like it's a human, if you will. And that's how you really come to the solutions, and that's how you build the systems.
Another great question. What did your AI build the website on?
So I built that on ChatGPT, and it made me some schematics. It made me some examples. ChatGPT at the moment seems to be better at building logos than Claude. Claude is quite terrible at it. But I ran through a ton of websites. I must have spent an hour. It must have given me a bunch of websites. I gave it some inspirations. I told it what I wanted. It's vibe prompting. I'm effectively saying, I don't think that's good. I think it should be more like this. And if it doesn't understand the context of what I'm saying, I might want to find an example and say, look, it needs to be something similar to that. So again, I'm speaking to it almost like it's a human, which is a strange thing to do, but it's getting me very good results. And obviously, I will demonstrate that in due course, but maybe we'll go through some sessions in the future of how we can go through that. But if I've screenshot some of the conversations I've had with Claude and OpenAI and my OpenClaw bots, they seem spooky. It's like speaking to real people and the responses they have. And I feel like I'm in a meeting room with a team and they're giving me good results. But yeah, that's the way that I'm building it. I hope that clarifies it.
Is that via WhatsApp or Telegram?
That's through the Anthropic Mac desktop program and through ChatGPT desktop.
Is that your main interface?
My main interface for Claude is on Mac. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. If you go onto OpenAI, you can literally just say, build me a website doing this, and it will build it. And you could say, how do I publish this website? And you can say, where do I need to go? And it will literally direct you. It's super intelligent.
Do you communicate via your phone as well to your laptop?
On Slack, my phone is connected, but at the moment I'm testing, I'm building. So I've got my laptops in front of me. I've got 5 laptops. So I'm just building these things constantly in front of me. I could use my phone, but for me, it's inefficient. I can type way faster. So I'm just using my laptop. But yeah, I could theoretically, I could go off with my phone and I can say, I've just come across a company, do some enhanced research on this company immediately, and it'll do it for me while I'm away. Yeah.
Cool. Christopher, on this topic, what are all the bigger things you've given your agents access to so far in terms of direct operational access, APIs, software tools, social media accounts?
So yeah, I'm planning to roll things out very incrementally. You have to understand that it's very easy for things to get very messy very quickly. And I don't want that to occur. What I mean by that is if you overcomplicate the process of the agent that you're building and then there's problems, you're going to have the whole mountain disintegrate. I want to make sure that the foundation is set before anything. And there are tons of APIs that I'm planning to add and tons of capabilities, but I've split up the bot systems and I want the core fundamental workings and operational capabilities of the bots to work flawlessly, and then I will add things. But you have to be careful because there's client information that I have that I don't want leaked. There is the problem of spamming and issues where it might send something that is totally unaligned with my business and my objectives. So gradually I'll implement it, but currently it's not as much. I've got my CRM plugged into it, so it has access to my client databases and my systems. I have it accessed on Slack, WhatsApp. I have it on a few other platforms and a load of data repositories in order to extract information. But that's it.
No credit card connection
No,
yet.
I will connect it with a crypto wallet. That's what I'll do. I will add it to a crypto wallet because I know that with a crypto wallet, not only is that encrypted, but also it will be a good way for my credit card details never to be leaked. So that's what I plan to do with that. Yeah.
I see some questions from William as well. A few more from Chris.
Yeah, go for it.
Let's answer one question of William, yeah? It sounds like these AI agents are essentially replacing staff.
Yeah.
I assume you are just using them as automation to automate your already successful lead gen.
Yeah, so what's the question? So you want my opinion whether I think they're replacing staff? Okay. Yeah, so let's be completely honest. If you have a company, whether they're listed on a stock market and they have pressure for investors or not, everyone's trying to make more money and optimize. If somebody owns a mining company and then there's a new digger that can extract 4 times as much as one of the previous generations of diggers, but it means that 100 people lose their jobs, that company will buy that digger, right? There's no question about it. So yeah, you could have the opinion that people lose their jobs and it's not fair, but This is just the nature of progression. And it's something that you have to either capitalize upon, educate yourself, and get on top of it, or it will indeed make you irrelevant. It's the reason why my thumbnail is so aggressive on my presentation. To be honest, let's go back into my FX company, okay? Foreign exchange is something that I do not anticipate will be around forever. I do not anticipate there will be a need to convert currency with a delay of 2 days to receive funds. And I don't believe that there will be a need for companies such as myself. And so I've taken that on the chin. And it's another reason why I'm capitalizing on AI. And I have plans to utilize it in a number of other businesses that I have so many ideas for, because I believe that as we progress, certain companies and industries will become irrelevant. And that is the nature of progression. So yeah, people will lose their jobs, but I would argue, and this might sound a bit harsh, if you're not willing to learn and adapt with society and the times, then you deserve your job to be taken from you. If you're just going to sit there and say, I'm willing just to do the same thing I've done every single day of my life again and again, and I expect to have this job forever, and that's it, I'm comfortable, I don't have any sympathy for you.
Hi, Gustav. How you doing, mate?
How you doing, William?
My question, mate, was it sounds like the AI agents are essentially replacing staff. So I like the point you made about treating them like a staff member.
Yeah.
But the question was, from a business point of view, I would assume you're training that agent to basically complete your already successful lead generation activities. So for me, I already have a successful way of generating leads. My issue is that I and my staff don't have enough time to go out and get more leads. So when you're training that agent, are you essentially just training it on the way that you're already successfully lead generating, but then you can speed that process up and generate more leads?
100%. Now, this is one of the rules that actually I was going to emphasize in my slideshow. The way that you really are successful in artificial intelligence is when you fully understand the process of a manual system. If you can do something effectively and proven manually, if you're a drop shipper, if you're a recruitment consultant, whatever you are, if you can do things effectively manually, if you run a YouTube channel, you can create a very good AI system based on the fact that you have the knowledge and you have the framework already manually. And so absolutely, William, to your point, my plan is to teach it exactly what we have done to be successful using real humans, and to move that over to automation so that we can get things done quicker, but not only quicker, better and more optimized, because it learns. It's a machine learning process. There are frameworks that I've just installed in the systems so that it goes back, it learns something, and we have an evaluation process where every single time it's learning more, and then it has a sense of free will. It can do its own things. I literally told it yesterday to find a certain company on its own accord, and it did, and it's learning. So absolutely, yeah, you have to know how to make money in the first place. You have to know the architecture and the systems initially, and then you can replicate that using AI. Yeah.
Because I think a lot of people think that AI is a buzzword that's going to make you money, but it's about applying it in the right way to an already successful business, basically, isn't it?
100%. Yeah. You can't just come out of university and never made a penny in your life and then think that you can just apply it and it's going to print you money. Look, it might do if you're lucky, and maybe if you're persistent, it can generate money that way. But the way that I strongly advise, I don't anticipate, as I said, foreign exchange is going to be the thing that's relevant in the next 20 years. I just don't think that's possible. I think there will be a point in which my company becomes redundant because there's no need for waiting 2 days for payments to go across borders. So I am only utilizing it within my companies because I know exactly how to run my company.
Can I ask a quick question? When you've got a sales member of staff, and obviously if I bring someone on board, I need to train them how to, we'll give some examples. Like I need to train them how to make cold calls. I need to train them how to talk to customers. I need to train them on how to message people on LinkedIn. There's some different ways that you can generate leads. So when you're training this agent and then you're looking at the MacBook, is the cursor moving and typing out, and is it making phone calls? Like how are you programming it to actually go out there and lead generate?
Yeah, absolutely. So you've got what's called headless mode or the normal mode. Headless mode is effectively where the computer is running all the processes using the terminal. The terminal, as I said, is the code that runs through. If you've seen the scene in the Matrix where all the lines go down the screen, it's like that on your MacBook in real time processing information. The OpenClaw system can run on your computer without visually showing anything. But You can have it in non-headless mode where you'll see the browser pop up and you'll see the cursor and you'll see it click on links. You'll see it do things. And so the visualization of it being a real human is right there. And this is also why I bought a load of MacBooks and not a load of Mac Minis, because I want to visually monitor the systems in real time when they're doing their jobs. I want to be able to see where they're clicking, what they're doing. I want to see the code run. I know that there's an error in the system because the code shines red, right? So I also, as somebody that I'm a massive advocate of learning and continuously learning. I'm always trying to learn. Every single day, I'm learning more. And I feel that with these things, you have to learn. And in order to learn, you have to be in the trenches. You have to have these MacBooks and these screens up all around you so you can see what they're doing. But yeah, to your question, you can have it running in front of you and performing almost like there was a ghost human typing on that laptop, and you'll see it perform. And you can also decompile what it's doing. You can create a dashboard so that you can see the processes, like how did it conclude to this thing? What did it do in the framework?
I have a question from Mohammed as well, if you can show something about the agents. His question is, can you show the agents that you've built? Can you show them in real time?
I can show them in real time. Yeah, I can do it. It'll take 10 minutes for it to compile the brief, but I can do that. Yeah. I need to use another computer. So I've got 2 computers. Is that what we want to do now? Do you guys want to see a system that I built? And
Hell yeah. We want to see it.
I want to see that. While you're setting that up, I've had a cold call from an AI before and I just dropped the phone. So I don't think AI's got to the point yet where it can actually have conversations with humans.
Absolutely. Absolutely. There are some phone calls that I've seen of estate agents in Dubai prospecting, and because of the accent, a Dubai national woman speaking, it was quite hard to even ascertain it was AI, but it was, and it done a phenomenal job. It paused. It was not easy to determine that it was AI. And that was the only example that I've currently seen. And that video probably was about 6 months ago. So we're getting there. But look, there are ways in which you can get around this. And an example is you could create an AI autopilot system where the AI is effectively speaking, listening to the client conversation, and it can come up with a script, and you can get that salesperson to look at the autopilot and then use that as a guidance to sell to that client, based on the fact that the AI is far more intelligent than that lead generator, than that junior.
The AI is always going to show up on time to work as well, aren't they?
Yeah, and they don't take sick days. And yeah, voice cloning is really effective right now as well, which is crazy. But we are getting to that, and that seems a bit dystopian to me, I would agree. But look, companies are companies. They're going to do anything that they possibly can to increase revenue. And I run a company. I get really fed up with employees a lot of the time. They either overpromise and underdeliver, or they're sick all the time, or they're hungover, and you think it happens. But it's expected. You can't expect employees to have the same vested interest in a business as the CEO or any of the other directors. So that's expected. But AI will act more enthusiastic than the CEO, which is a fantastic thing. They're always willing to work. And I mean, maybe I'm a bit different, but I love working with AI more than humans. But I think we're about to set this up, so I'll show you it. And look, if this doesn't work right now and it glitches out or it doesn't compile a brief or whatever, I'm not too bothered. It's taken me 2 months to build these systems. This is one fragment of one of the bots, one of the 10 bots that I'm building. And I'm happy to be transparent and show you it's worked phenomenally on a bunch of companies, but we'll see how it does. But yeah, so basically the way it works right now with the prospecting, I can give it a company, I can ask it to find company, but what it has to do is it has to ask the do not contact list. So it has to find out that this company's not been contacted already, or is already a client of mine or something like that. And so before any step where it creates a prospect brief, it has to authorize with the CRM manager that is indeed not a company that it should not contact. And that's what we call the DNC check. But I need to connect this laptop, which is the CRM manager, so that the lead generation bot can do its job. Otherwise, it's gonna hit a hurdle. So I'll just try and quickly connect this. Give me 1 second.
Josh, can you repeat your question vocally?
Yeah, I was basically just saying I've literally got the Mac Mini in the box here, literally about to set it up. I'm pretty sure you have to like copy some code into the terminal, and for someone like me, it's quite complex. I was just looking if there's any resources where there's like a step-by-step guide.
Yes, there is.
Yeah, that's
Josh.
what I'm looking for.
Yes. Okay. So look, the phenomenal thing is you can use AI to solve your AI problems, right? If you're confused about it, download ChatGPT on your phone or Anthropic on your phone. take a picture of the terminal and say, I am planning to install OpenClaw on my Mac. It's a brand new Mac. Could you give me some advice? It will pull it from the internet and it will tell you what to do. And sometimes it might, this is the problem with it, right? Sometimes what it might do is actually make a few assumptions and a few guesses as to what to do. But if you know it's OpenClaw, if you know you're trying to install Anthropic, you can tell it to research those repositories. So you could say, actually, if I'm trying to install this specific OpenClaw system, please research the GitHub of an OpenClaw, and it will just copy what the official documents say. You can use AI to develop your own understanding of these systems, and I highly advise it. Anything in life, actually, you can use AI to get ahead. But I think, Josh, if you're confused with the terminal, I promise you, give it a week of using it, and you will be so comfortable with it. It is honestly not insanely complicated. It's a list of lines. They all make, like right now, in order for me to, my Wi-Fi is not working, but in order for me to activate this system right here, I need to type in this terminal command, OpenClaw gateway -force, and that will start the command of this AI system. And I've learned that because I've typed it in thousands of times while I'm building these systems. It's so easy to learn this if every day you're consulting with Claude, you're building, and you can see the results. It's so easy to learn how to trade in the stock market, or when you actually put your own money in it. You learn things way quicker. You learn about information so quicker. If you utilize these systems and you use them every single day, I guarantee you, even within a week, you'll be so much more confident. And if you start to look back at how much you knew last week, last month, I've been doing this specific setup for 2 months. And what I know now compared to when I started is probably 100-fold more. So don't get too intimidated. As I said, there isn't much risk when you have an isolated machine that you're installing the system on. And just ask AI. If you're confused with what's going on with AI, ask AI. If it gives you an answer that you don't understand, just say, you're going to need to break that down for me. It's a bit too complicated. Please break it down and tell me what's going on.
Yeah, that makes sense. What's Anthropic? Is that like another Claude chat? Like, is that just another
Anthropic is
platform?
the company that creates Claude, right? So Claude, yeah. So Claude is Opus 4.6 is the main product from Anthropic. ChatGPT have their models, which is OpenAI. That's a company. So you've got two competing companies, and then you've got other companies in China and all different ways of running AI systems. But again, we can go on a tangent there. But if there's any more questions, let me know. I'm just still trying to connect to the Wi-Fi here on the other laptop so that we can get the test up and running. Okay, Thomas, so what I'm going to have to do is once I've got the OpenClaw system running on the other MacBook, I need you to prioritize that screen on Zoom so that it can be shown to everyone, if that makes sense. Not myself.
Yes, we will use Spotlight.
Yeah.
ZM is saying, great call, guys. Great to meet you as well.
There we go. Okay, so I think that's done, right?
Yes, already.
Okay, let me just make sure the system's up and running. OpenClaw gateway
Cool.
force. Okay, so that one should be running fine. Hopefully this one's also running fine. This is just previous companies that have done, but we can go through live first. Actually, no, let me just go through what it's doing because it takes 10 minutes, right? So let's go through what it's built already on these companies that I got up, and then we'll go through a new company, and then I can show it as it's building. But effectively, what we have here is a platform that I've created using the AI system. This is my lead generation system, and it effectively pulls information for companies that I'm looking to approach. I've got one here also, which is a discovery dashboard. This is finding companies. So these are agents that I'll go out and look for companies. And then this dashboard here is actually finding relevant information for companies so that I can actually speak to them in person about their business and how we can help. I'll show you the information that is compiled. So all it had when it actually processed this was one name, which is Valimex. Valimex is a company that the AI found. It wasn't me. I didn't feed it that company. It actually found that based on its own interpretation of my ideal client profile, and then it gave me all this information. So with that company name, it's got tags up here, primary target and archetype 1. These are all things that I have tailored to it. So as I said, I fed it 13,000 conversations I had with clients over the last 10 years, and it assessed and I corrected it on a few things. And then I said to Claude, do me a favor, send me 100 questions that you want to know the answer to with regards to what I do, what my business entails. And I'll answer every question in as much detail as possible so you have a good grasp of what we do. So I did so many different methods in order to have Claude understand exactly how the business operates. And as I said previously, if you understand the business, you understand whatever it is that you're doing to make money, it's so easy to replicate. But you have to know manually, you have to have mastered something manually in order to replicate it. Otherwise, it's the blind leaving the blind. You can't expect it to build it for you. It might have theories, but it will get many things wrong. So as I say, you could be a master of dropshipping, and I think you'd make a ton of money with AI if you're a master of dropshipping, because you would just copy what you do with dropshipping and you'd automate, and it'd come along with a load of things that it assumes based on market research that it's had online, and it might get it wrong and you'll have to correct it. But anyway, I fed it a load of information, I corrected it, I did loads of processes to understand, and I did this 2 weeks before I got any of the OpenClaw systems. So I was building the roadmap and the technology and the MD files before I even had the Macs within my possession, because I'm a bit of an OCD planner and I wanted to plan it all before I got the systems, and that's the way that I operated. So it's flagged up some key markers here. And so if you go onto the company information, it will just show you all this information here. It's got the company house number, website, sector, the SIC code, employee count is unknown. It's not found that information for this particular company. Estimated turnover, a bit of information, company structure. It shows you that it's a subsidiary. Again, like this information would have taken me time to look at online, right? The fact that I would have had to spend time to go online and research this information is invaluable. If I'm cutting all this time down.
What platforms is it using to find this information? Is it connected to Google? Is it connected to LinkedIn?
If I go down to the data sources, you can see company, house, Perplexity, FileCrawl, CLI. It's got this other web intel, and it's all got these other things that I'm planning to add onto it, right? But I'm not adding them yet. As I said, I'm perfecting platform in the first instance with the foundation or free information. And then I'll add the paid subscriptions and other thing. And that's why you'll see that it has information, but it doesn't have everything. It doesn't have direct numbers. It doesn't have direct emails yet, because I'm adding in those APIs at a later stage. But I just want to see what it can really build from free information accessible to the public. So the company structure's there. It's a subsidiary, ownership type, acquisition evidence. It shows you evidence as to why it was acquired, right? Decision maker. It's got 4 candidates, right? Highest person that I'm likely to contact is this individual here. And a longest serving active director, and it shows you the reason and the rationale behind it. And I love that, right? And this is all because I've taught it to do this stuff. There was no off the peg way to do this. I had to program this whole thing for 2 months in order to do this. FX profile. It's showing me what they've found in terms of its exposure. And this is invaluable information for me as an FX brokerage. And that's why it says as well, because over 15 million, which I consider a well client. Classification, archetype 1, medium. Again, more information based on the personalization of the way that I've programmed it, and intelligence. Now, this is the beautiful stuff. It's showing things that it's pulled out from the website, and it's completely tailored to what I do as a business and what it's seen over the years of data that I've fed it. And all this information, the fact that I can get this in a moment's notice, and I can call up a client or they can call me and I could just plug this in and say, yeah, I can see you've done this. You can see that. Valimex publicly emphasizes sourcing from premium European world growers. So margin protection and supplier payment conversion is more credible than generic export messaging. So it's showing such valuable information. And this is all because I've taught the system exactly specifically what I need in terms of clients and how I benefit my clients and what I do for them. There's a few other companies here that I've got. Let me just show you other research that is generated for me. This company here, again, trigger events. Google snippets indicate Brown's Food Group acquired a substantial stake in AK Stoddarts in June 2024. This information is something that a human can extrapolate, pull out of the internet. But just to think that this is doing it automatically, and I could give it a list of 1,000 companies and wake up in the morning and I've got prospect briefs for all these companies. It's crazy. The time that it would save me is absolutely insane. The value that this platform gives me as a brokerage is crazy. The value it would have given me if I was an employee working for a brokerage again is invaluable. It's crazy. It's saving me so much time and giving me information that is factual and relevant to exactly what I've taught it. And I'm absolutely blown away with what it's doing. It's got so much information.
It's like you've got 10 BDMs that are finding you exactly what you want.
Yeah, I'm training it on UK data because I think that is the hardest data source and the easiest for it to compile because it's English. But I can easily expand this globally later, and I will do. But at the moment, I'm training it, and I'm not going to run before I can walk. So I'm just building it out slowly. But look, this is another thing. It just has such great information and snippets that are so relevant. And it even show you things to say. Look, notes for SalesBot. That the grocer reported that 4.2% of Dura's sales came from the rest of Europe, largely Ireland and specialist retailers. That creates a very credible opening around managing euro receipts against imported ingredients such as several oranges. It's amazing. I find this absolutely remarkable. But we could pop in a company now. There's a limited company that you want to search. Any company, I don't know. What should we search? One of you guys just tell me a company to search. Someone pull up a UK company just so it doesn't look like it's scripted or anything. Tell me what to search and I'll search it. Thomas? Any UK company?
Any UK company?
Any UK company.
Any industry?
No, anything. If it's not relevant for my ICP, it will decline it and say, we have rejected this company because it doesn't fit your needs as a broker.
Let's do a food company.
Yeah, fine.
Successful one. Just McDonald's.
McDonald's. But yeah, I'm very proud of what it's doing. It's absolutely incredible. So if I go over to command, yeah, okay. So if I look on my Slack, oh, it's screen sharing right now. If I look on my Slack, it's already instructed that. But is the bot running? Hold on, where's the terminal? I need to go to terminal. Let's just quickly check the stat. OpenClaw gateway status. No, it's not running at the moment. I've got to run it. Hold on. OpenClaw gateway force. Oh, Jesus, one sec. OpenClaw gateway. Okay, we're running. Sorry, I think I instructed it before it was even. I activated the CRM bot, but not the lead generation bot. Let me just make sure that it does this. Copy this. I'll just type in McDonald's again. Yeah, you can see can you see on the dashboard, it says gateway started. That's it basically turning on. It's because I'm not in my apartment right now. I'm in my friend's studio, so everything was disconnected and I had to sign up to new Wi-Fi's. McDonald's. Let's see what it does. Let's go. Yeah. And I can see on my Slack, you guys can't see my screen. But, oh, yeah, you can see my screen. On my Slack, it says right now, this lead generation bot is evaluating information. So it is actively doing stuff. And if I look also on the terminal, this stuff will start populating information where it will show basically the workings of what the bot is doing. Yeah. So that there is the terminal where all the information will start populating with all the workings. So if you want to debug a system, what you do is you effectively copy that information, you send that to Anthropic or something like that and say, look, this is the performance. Can we debug this? What's going on? But yeah, it should be looking right now. Let's see if it's done the CMD check. Hold on. But yeah, it should take about 10 minutes to go through the process of this. Organizing, just running. Okay. But yeah, while that's happening, don't change the screen. Leave that because we want it to we'll see it go through the process. But are there any other questions that I can answer while this thing is building a prospect brief?
How long will it take, you think, before you can automate over 50%?
How long? Look, can you see it's already starting on the platform? Discovery. So if I scroll up, it's already extracted that information and it's continuing with the rest of the process. We'll see how it goes. How long do I think until 50% of my company is got AI reinforcing it? My projections were between 8 and 12 months, but based on current performance, I think we could get it done by 4 months, 4 more months. Yeah, if you're using it every day, I've been working 12-hour days doing this. I've invested everything, every minute of the day. I've declined on holidays. I can see the potential of this. I don't want to say how much money I make and how much money I've made a month, but it's a lot for a person of my age. And if I run the figures, a conservative estimate of what I would be able to make utilizing AI, running a lot of my company and assisting the other members of staff, is a conservative estimate is 10 times the profit that I will make on a monthly basis. So I can't sleep because I already feel like I'm making 10 times as much now, because I know that every minute I spend is worth that money in the future, in the very short future. So
And you want to get ahead even more, right? Like you want to make those big steps as soon as possible.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm finding mundane chat with just the general population really boring, because I just want to get back and continue building this stuff. It's insane. Again, you can do this for every avenue of your life. As a broker, I find it very frustrating that I have to come back and work, and I have the bottleneck of having too many clients, and then I don't have a life, or I can't cater for them all with the service that they expect. And then there's a bottleneck also in revenue that I can generate. But what this means is that once these systems are semi/fully autonomous, right? All I need to do is sit at my desk and authorize an architect. I have to just sign things off, make the big decisions that the AI can't do, because it still can't make those big decisions because it has a limitation in its understanding of large contextual information, such as running a business. But it's an extension of who you are. If you're good at something, it will make you vastly better. And if you know the mechanisms that run companies, you can just implement them to take over. Again, let me just go back. I think if you don't have a master plan and you don't know how to build a massive system, I would say to you, try to automate the most basic tasks first. Just automate something really silly. Let me give you an example. Your diary management. Automate something that allows your tasks to automatically upload to Google Calendar and for it to just happen like that. Just do something really basic first and learn how to use the systems. But I guarantee you, if you just use it in the most primitive way, you'll further your understanding quicker than watching YouTube videos, or quicker than anything else. If you just actively use it and try to implement it and not have that initial fear and worry about actually being overwhelmed by the information. As we can see now, it's on the 4th.
Is there a bottleneck for you guys at the moment? A bottleneck that keeps you from earning, let's say, billions?
Yeah,
If this
yeah,
just
absolutely.
works,
Absolutely.
if this works smoothly, you can just let it go and build $1 billion business.
Oh, without a doubt. Like foreign exchange, which what my business is, a massively saturated industry. It's terrible. I do it because it's what I committed to many years ago, and I know how to do it very well, and I'm a master at it. But I, truth be told, don't find it incredibly lucrative or fascinating. And I want to pivot in so many different areas, including biotechnology and things where I believe AI is going to save lives, make people live longer, and also make me a hell load of money. And I think it's great to have ambitions of making money, especially if it's also helping the world, right? Openly hold up my hands, I want to make a lot of money. But I would also like to help the world at the same time, and also help people live longer and myself live longer and be more youthful. And it's why I said earlier that I'm a biohacker. But I am learning how to implement it within my company that I've always managed. As you can see now, we're on the people section. Company structure is a subsidiary of the corporation. Look, you can see that the ultimate parent is McDonald's. Oh, look, it's now managing my platform. I'm not doing this. It's doing it right now. It's searching online. So it's opening up web pages to operate and find information to fill out the prospect brief for me. Where was I on that point? Sorry. Yeah, I would like
Is there a bottleneck?
Yeah,
like
yeah.
one bottleneck at the moment?
For me or for the system?
Yeah, for you and the system.
Is there a bottleneck for me? The bottleneck is simply how much productivity I can get to build this AI system and how much time I have a day. In terms of the business running in the traditional sense, the bottleneck was the fact that whenever I acquired too many clients, I simply could not cater for them all and offer bespoke services because I was overwhelmed with information. It was just impossible. Every company that I operate and deal with on a one-to-one basis, and I work with companies that are listed on a stock exchange, they're multi-million dollar businesses, and their situations are so complex. How am I supposed to have my team and myself abreast of that constantly when the market is changing, their industries are changing, and them as a personal business is changing? It's very tough. And so it's not about trying to be lazy and trying to reduce the work that we want to do as a business. It's about trying to pull the right information and automate what can be automated so we can offer a better service, so we can do our jobs better and quicker. And so then therefore that bottleneck no longer exists. With regards to your question on is there a bottleneck with AI? At the moment, the only bottleneck is the context window. And this is another reason why I said you need to split up these OpenClaw systems, because if you feed too much information into one agent, it cannot perform. They have a 20,000 character limit on the MD file of the agents.md file. And I know a lot of you might not understand what that means, but there's one major file on an OpenClaw agent, and that's an agent.md file. And there's a 20,000 character limit on that file. That means that it can only recall that information when it's performing tasks. And so that is the bottleneck right now, is that you have to split these agents up because they can't perform every duty at once. And so that's fine with me. I'll just buy 10 MacBooks and I'll put them all on those systems. But I'm sure as AI progresses and things get better, I'm pretty confident that bottleneck will widen, but I think there will always be bottlenecks with these systems.
Could you give me a short list of steps that I would need to do if I was to go out tomorrow and build an agent for the purpose of lead generation? I'd need a MacBook. What else would I need to do?
Yeah, so I would say just buy yourself a MacBook, get yourself a subscription to Claude. Claude is the best thing to consult, in my opinion. Use the Claude on your primary computer as a consultant. And I would say open up a Notion account, or a way that you can structure your business. Now, the first thing I would do is I would feed the Claude agent with your business, what your business does, how it makes sales, its performance, as much information relevant to the task of lead generation. Things that are like interactions with clients on emails about selling your services and things like that is absolutely invaluable for the agent, because it's so good at machine learning and learning things using real life interactions and data. Feed all that information to it and then say to the OpenClaw agent, this is my business. This is what I do for a living. I would like to capitalize on artificial intelligence, and I would like to utilize an OpenClaw system to build out a lead sourcing agent to help my business generate leads, or indeed research leads that I'm about to approach for my business. Tell me the process that we need to do. I've just flipped the platform back to show what's going on. I would go to OpenClaw and I would speak to it like it is a consultant. Remember, it will get so many things wrong, right? It's a super intelligence, but it has so many holes, right? So where it says things that are either assumptive, or where it says things that are just categorically not true, or where it says things that sound like that it might be true, but you need to drill a bit further on it, bring it up, pick the holes in that system and be like, no, I disagree with this. Why do you believe this? With this, you have to possess a lot of critical thinking and understanding of your own business and how things work. Otherwise, it will just generate something with the assumption that it knows everything, because that's a big problem that AI has currently, is it assumes that its answer is the right answer. We all know this. This is a thing that has been out there a long time. Just quickly back to the platform. We're on the compiler now. It's done all of these checks. If I go down to this, it's got 6 candidates, medium confidence of this person, not high, but it's still going through information, FX profile. As you can see, trigger events, company's house data shows Benjamin Keith Fox was appointed director literally in February. Michelle Graham Clare resigned the same day. You see the information that I would have spent so much time trying to pull up. It's actually ridiculous. The platform, as it's proving, operates completely autonomously without me having to do anything. And for me, the value just of this one fragment of the bots of the lead generation system is invaluable to me. This is one system. Then I have CRM, sales, market research, assistant, all these things intertwined together, which eventually will cause my company to be able to scale so rapidly as a result of all the annoying, mundane tasks such as compiling data, documenting data, all of this stuff. It's amazing. So I'm very happy it's working. I'm very happy it worked live, and it has been working live consistently. It's posted the brief there. Can you see that? Brief posted, McDonald's UK. That will upload to my CRM automatically with all the stages on the CRM available for me to deal with. I don't ever have to want to touch fucking CRM ever again in my life. I hate them. They piss me off. I don't want to go through deal process and log. It annoys me. I'm a big picture CEO. I don't want to have to deal with that stuff. And you know what? To be honest, when I was a salesman, me and all the other salesmen didn't want to have to deal with that either. How amazing is it that AI is now going to do that for me?
Is this proactive though? When you
Yes.
walk into your sales office in the morning, you're talking to your sales staff, right? I want you to go off and prospect on LinkedIn. I want you to make these cold calls. The target for today is to speak to 10 potential candidates. Can you walk in and click a button and get it to do that?
Absolutely. There's a thing called heartbeats, which is effectively the agents kicking up their own brain during any interval that you can specify. And that effectively allows it to do tasks throughout the night or whenever you plan for it to do. It's a scheduling heartbeat in the terms of it awakens itself whenever it wants to do a task that you've set it. But in addition to that, when you have an overall task with multiple agents tied into each other, they naturally hand off tasks to each other. Right now, in this demonstration, we've had 2 AI systems on 2 different machines operating together to create a prospect brief. It has used the information that I've given it, because I've given it this information with a company name. It's compiled a DNC check. It's asked the CRM manager if that is a company that we've already contacted. It ran through all the contact details that it found. The CRM manager said back to the lead generator, no, that's not on our system. We've passed the checks. You can now go and look into that company. The lead generation company bot has now compiled the prospect brief, and he has now gone back to the CRM manager and said, can you put this on HubSpot, please? Because this is a company that we've just put a brief for. We'd like to do that. Later on, the sales bot will start to generate emails and start to outreach those companies, and I will authorize whether or not it speaks to them. But as I explained, you can make it as autonomous as you want, but you can't automate it if the systems are not perfected. You have to do smoke tests, never allow it to interact with real clients until the smoke tests are complete. You have to continuously, it has to have an accuracy of over 95% before you promote these bots to actually expose themselves to the real world. So it's all about testing and working through the framework in order to make sure that they work autonomously. But initially, they will not be autonomous. Initially, you have to set the framework up, and you have to delve into each independent respective responsibility. And then once all the pieces work together, then it works autonomously.
I think many questions have been asked and answered. And yeah, you don't want to sleep anymore, right? So you will keep developing this.
Yeah.
And I think in a few days already, or soon enough, people want to know more about what you have developed.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just we stay in touch in the group, and then also we just meet again via Zoom and hear what you develop.
Absolutely. Look, and listen, your focus should not be on trying to look at what I've developed and trying to copy. You shouldn't be copying what I'm doing. What you should be doing is using critical thinking and thinking, how can I use this into the thing that I do the best in my life? What is it that I have done in my life to make money? What is it that in my life that I want optimized? What is it in my life that I want to save time on? And that's where you should apply it. And it's so easy to build if you give it the time to learn and educate yourself and speak to Claude like it's a manager, and educate yourself on all means of it. When Claude sends you something and you don't understand it, don't just go along with it. Ask it what it means. It will teach you. It's the best resource that we've had since the invention of the internet. Do you remember how it was before the internet? Before the internet, and people had to go to the library to get information? That's absolutely insane. And that's literally the bottleneck that people back in the day had. They had the bottleneck where they had to have a library access in order to extract information to write a thesis on something or to start a business. And then we had the internet, and that drastically improved things. But before the internet, we had computers, which is what made businesses 100x the businesses in the days of no computers. Then we had the internet, and now we've got AI. It's the single most disruptive and useful technology in a century. It's absolutely crazy. And so you are doing yourself an insane disservice if you are not capitalizing on this technology. After this presentation, if you don't use these systems, I have nothing more to say to you. My success is not contingent on anyone following this YouTube channel or having me as a consultant or anything like that. I'm going to continue to build these systems. It's already saving me a ton of time. It's already given me amazing output. And once I multiply that on 10 more systems, yeah, life is going to be very good, and I'll open up more companies, and it'll be a great, prosperous future. Hopefully, change the world for the better. And yeah, I'm actually doing this from the goodness of my heart. I want people to know what's out there. I've been bashing onto my own family about how they need to use this, and the rebuttals that they give me blows my mind. They say, "Oh, it's good for you because you have a successful business, and maybe it's applicable for this, but I don't think it's applicable for that." That stuff irritates me, and I hope from the earlier slideshow regards to the time equals money equation, this can be applied to anyone. If you're saving time, it's useful. If you're making more money, it's useful. If it improves output, it's useful. It's useful for a lot of people. But anyway, unless there's any more questions, we'll wrap on that. And my YouTube channel should be open next week. YouTube, unfortunately, closed the channel down because, I don't know, because it's a new channel, who knows. But I'll get it fixed, and I'll be on lives every Tuesday and Thursday, going through individual questions. It may be about half an hour sessions. I'll go through all the questions of individuals that might want to have a human to help them with regards to what they're building. But I'm documenting other people's questions, other people's builds. I will share what I can with what I'm building. But as I say, you will not be successful if you're trying to copy. You'll be successful if you try to apply what you know and what you're good at in order to build these systems.
Thank you, Gus. Thank you for answering questions. Those were good questions as well. Thank you for asking the questions. And yeah, keep it up. Let us know your progress. As Gus said, start easily and in a basic way and scale from there. See you next time.
See you. Thank you, guys.